Okay, hello everybody. We're live today doing an auction with Belo, who I'm super excited to chat with because Belo has some amazing art. And let's to kick things off. Maybe Belo, we can do like a little introduction, and you can introduce just a little bit of background on you and yourself. Live today doing this, just
Sure.
on you.
So just let me mute the other audio. So, hi guys, hi everybody. Grateful for having the opportunity to participate in the auction today. So, my name is Belo Bizarro in Portuguese. I come from Brazil. I'm a Brazilian painter in Brazil. So, my name in Portuguese actually means beautiful and bizarre. So it kind of reveals a lot of of my work of the aesthetic and the poetic behind it, because I always try to bring a kind of a duality of beauty and pain and suffering and other uh, maybe melancholic things that come through the artwork, but in a like a beautiful manner. I always think of the name meaning that behind pain there is always beauty, and behind beauty there is always pain. So I think I try to work that concept behind the artworks. I work with mainly with oil paintings. So some of the all of the pieces that are alive today in auction are originally oil paintings, and two of which are I still have the possession of them, so they are um, coming with the NFT. And I work with oil paintings for like since the beginning of the pandemic, since around the beginning of 2020, but I have worked before with watercolors and ink and drawings and other kinds of um, and media that I like to explore. And yeah, I think today my main goal is to expand my the medias I can work with, so I can explore other textures and other media that my work can speak through. Also, I think the NFT has helped me a lot, because some of the artwork is really difficult to articulate in other ways than the NFT market really helps me uh, speak in different ways and to different people that might appreciate that kind of art, because it's not very popular where I live. So yeah, I think that's kind of it, my trajectory until now.
That's really cool, and I love how you talked about your name being kind of a reflection on the art that you create. I think that's really cool. And quickly before I ask you another question, I just want to pop up and
Hmm.
check on the auction because I know the first bid is going to be ending shortly. So let me open up that screen. Okay, there it is. So, Bella, I'm curious. So, the first piece that we have up here, it's from your Wailing Wall collection, and it's called
Hmm.
"How Many Silences Made You Scream." So, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that piece, like what inspired it, and like what exactly is this piece?
Sure. This piece was originally uh, made from a poem that a friend of mine actually sent me, and the poem is a very short poem. It's a one phrase poem that is exactly the name of it. How
Mm.
many silences made you scream? So I wanted to talk about how sometimes we try to shut things down inside ourselves so that we avoid conflict or anything like that, but any eventually the screen comes on its own. You know, you can see the expression on the subject is like bland. They're not forcing anything to come out. The scream is kind of just piercing through the person, and we can also see sort of faces trying to say something that they are kind of inside him, and they're just trying to get out, but just one big scream coming out of his mouth, like it took its own life. And we also can see a little inscription that contours the figure. That is exactly the name of the piece.
Mm. I think this is absolutely beautiful, and like being able to zoom in here. Can you see this second screen I opened up of the piece
Yes.
bigger?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's really cool how you can see the faces, you can see the hands coming out of the mouth. It like speaks a lot, and it like almost gives me goosebumps. So this is a very
Thanks.
beautiful piece. And let's check back on the auction. So that one's done. But we have another one. Well, the second piece, there's 3 minutes left on this one. And we have a bid on this one for zero point 0.1 ETH. So that's exciting.
Great.
But maybe we can get into this one and I'll open it up if you want to
Sure.
describe this one a little bit as well.
This one, the name Tilpendo's Par is because I wanted to talk about how um, we can sometimes be stuck in a relationship or any kind of relation to other person, and we are stuck in there. But being there hurts, and also going away hurts too. There is no option. You are going to suffer anyway. The pain is inevitable. So you are there, but you want to leave, but leaving will tear you both apart, you and your significant other. But staying there is too painful. You hurt yourselves constantly, and that pain is inevitable because it always comes. It's about staying, it's about leaving, it's about hurting either way.
I love that. I love the lines and I love the colors that you used for this. And so you mentioned you do them on a canvas, right? So
Yes.
what's the process like of bringing these into digital for you?
It's really kind of hard, not hard, but it's a long process because I try to capture exactly what I see. I don't try to enhance or do any sort of modification, because I want people to see exactly what I saw when I was bringing it to life, so you have to and I don't have a huge equipment, so I do have to take a lot of pictures and a lot of different lighting, and do a digital treatment of the image, so I can get the picture exactly how I see it in person, so I can assure the person who um, uh, uh, purchases the piece to get exactly what they saw and they got inspired by, and that's what they're gonna get.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's nice how much intention that you put into that. Just making sure that everything is on par with what you want. I absolutely love that. So let's quickly check back on this. And we got 1 minute and 21 seconds left at point one. So that's super exciting.
Yes.
Um, so while we wait for that, I have another question for you. So,
Sure.
how did you get into art? Like, what kind of made you get into it in the first place?
I kind of I draw since I was a kid, but I only got really into art when I was like 17 to 18. Then I got in touch with some literary works, like The Sandman from Neil Gaiman, which is the series that just came out on Netflix. The comics are really deep and really touched me as soon as I began reading it. So that specific work of art actually really got me interested in building my own stuff, and also I at that time I got to know a lot of artists through social media, through Instagram, Twitter, etc. And I got really inspired and really got to train my craft and my technique, and build my own aesthetic and yeah, that's kind of it. I'm
That's really
just
cool.
doing that until today.
Yeah, that's really cool. And actually, congrats. That one just sold for point one.
Nice, thanks.
Yay, congrats. That's amazing.
Yes,
Okay, so let's move on to the third piece that we have here. Your opening price is at point one, and this one is called Trying to Save Some Tears for When I Really Need Them and Failing. So let me open this up bigger so we can take a look, but maybe you can talk about this piece as well.
sure. That's a long title. My titles tend to be a little bit long, but because I really think the title is a very important part of the piece in all of them. This one I try to think about the you trying to save tears just like you save money. You
Mm.
try to save them, but then you got tempted and you end up spending more than you imagined, and more than you intended to spend. Just like when you try not to be over touched by something, or crushed, but that deep down that feeling really minds you, and you just at the end you just can't stop the tears from coming. They're gonna get their way out anyways.
Right.
So that's why the failing. So I just try to create a visual narrative. There are three images, kind of three pieces separate, but it's just uh, one canvas, because the person's really really trying, but at the end they're just failing at doing so, and like covering their faces because the, they failed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine this probably took a lot of time because you're not just drawing it once, you're drawing the person three separate
Yes,
times.
exactly.
So that's pretty amazing. And let me just check back on this. Okay, so you have 2 minutes left on this one. So as I zoom in, like I can see all the details, and I know you mentioned how you edit them to make them look like how it looks in real life. So I'm curious, like, what is your medium? Like your actual mediums of painting, are they the same for everything? Are they different per piece? Like, what do you typically use?
I they kind of vary in some ways, but they are all oil on canvas. But I think you can see, especially on this one, that I try to create a lot of texture in the image. I also glue a lot of pieces of paper behind. I actually, before I prepare the canvas with acrylic gesso, so a lot of texture can be seen through, and I also try to create some depth through a process called burning the page, which is painting it whole with a very vibrant color before I actually begin to paint the image I'm going to paint there. So some of the color can be seen through, like they bleed through the canvas. We can see in some spaces a little bit of blue just splashing through. That's that color that I painted behind the the final piece. So it kind of varies in these ways that I approach texture and depth, but the main medium, that is oil on canvas, it's preserved almost always the same.
That's pretty cool, and it's also cool to learn your process of painting. I've seen a few artists do that, like paint the whole canvas one color. But like
Mhm.
after you saying that, now noticing the details is pretty cool to like see like
Thanks.
exactly how you did that. So I love that. Let me check back here on the auction real quick and see how we're doing. Okay, cool. We have 45 seconds, and I'm not sure if there's no bids yet, but that's okay. There's one more piece.
Yes,
But I have a question. So,
sure.
you talked about how you got into art, right? So, how
Mhm.
did you get into NFTs then?
Yes, I kind of uh, uh, I knew that this market was existed and in a long time ago, but not really long time. But I saw a few artists in Twitter and etc. But I never really got into it because I kind of thought that it would be too complicated and too difficult, and it has a specific language to itself and a lot of things. But I decided to give it a try because I saw a lot of artists that I really, really liked and that really inspired me, that I really admired, that were into it, and they were talking about how NFT saved their lives and changed their lives in a lot of ways. So in a lot of because I saw a lot of artists that got a notability and notoriety through NFTs. So I thought, wow, that these artists that deserve this and so much more, that are getting this recognition, I must give it a try. And it actually kind of worked. You know, I'm getting a lot more of recognition as of now. I'm, growing a specific community, a lot of really, really nice people that I really love and really admire are, following back and, creating this community. And I'm really, really enjoying being a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. The NFT community is actually amazing. Like I've made
Yes.
some of my closest friends on here, so I can totally see why like you love it so much.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Cool. So let's talk about the last piece that we have here. Let me share my screen one more time. Share screen. There we go. So this piece that we have, this is the final piece, and it is called trying to find a way to say things are not okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like what did you mean by that? And first of all, I love this piece a lot. Like the slit in the throat, the textures, just like everything about it is really cool. Um
Thanks.
of course, of course. But yeah, let's talk like what's your kind of background on this piece?
This I think a kind of recurring theme in my pieces is the silence, the compression, how you try not to say stuff when sometimes this specific piece is about when you really try to say things, but you just can't. The things won't come out, and that's why I painted the person without a mouth, mouthless. So there there just isn't room for the scream to come out, but because the person's trying and they try so hard that you know uh, their throats slits and the words just, it's like an exit, emergency exit, so the words can come out on their own, and just they tried so hard that they harmed themselves in trying to speak, and the words came out so much more hurtful than if they just managed to if they just had a mouth, for example. And I also tried to create this texture to make kind of a not confusing, but noise in the image that walks the eye of the observer, so we can see it takes us to look to the eyes, the expression, and the mouth, well, the absence of mouth, the lack of mouth, and also the throat. So I think this texture kind of builds a noise that creates depth and feeling to the piece, and that's kind of the thought process behind it.
That's awesome. No, I definitely think I love the textures that you use, and I think they absolutely speak a million words. So let's check
Thanks.
back. So this one's ending in 43 seconds. So I will open this up so we can just, oops, wrong button. I will open this up so we can just look at it. Um, so I don't think so this one's going to close in about 30 seconds. But another question that I have for you is, where do you draw your inspiration from? So you talked about, a lot of the mouths being closed. Like, what does that come
Mhm.
from for you?
I think a lot of it comes from my personal experience, but also I draw inspiration from other mainly from other medias of art. So music and literature are huge inspirations for me. Many of my titles are inspired by song lyrics and or by poems or books that I read or hear or anything like that. So a lot of it comes through that, and just incorporate it in my artwork and try to see it in a different angle through different lens and stuff.
Very cool. No, yeah, I think as artists, it's the art speaks a thousand words when it's created from personal
Yeah,
experiences. So I can definitely feel that, and like I feel a lot of emotion through your art. So
thanks.
that's beautiful. So the auction just ended. So congrats on selling that
Thanks.
piece.
Thanks.
Like that's
Thank
amazing,
you.
and you should be proud of
Really,
it.
really, I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
but before we end, I have a couple more questions just
Sure.
before we wrap things up for you because I'm super
Hmm.
curious to continue to learn more. So, what can we expect from you in the next coming months? Are you planning to drop more things, or yeah, what are your plans?
Yes, I actually am planning to be a huge thing. I am working on a series that is called The Pathology of Being as One Is. The Pathology of Being as One Is. That is my other collection um on Foundation. That collection is going to be contain 23 pieces uh, that are just building a macro narrative from micro narrative. So it's a greater narrative that composed by a lot of uh, minor narratives, and that piece is taking me a lot of effort, a lot of time, and I already actually sold the first because I'm just putting them a little bit at a time. So I sold the first piece of that of that collection called "Time Heals All Wounds," uh, and I'm super proud of that. And I think really really nice things are coming in the next few weeks and months.
That's amazing. I'm super excited to follow along, and I know people are also super excited to follow along on your journey. How long does it typically take you to make one like painting, would you say?
It I know that's not the most satisfactory answer, but it varies a lot, a lot, a lot. I some pictures, some pieces I finish in half an hour, but some pieces I take more than a month to complete. It varies a lot from the complexity of the image, the number of the size is also a huge uh, uh, element because I work in very different sizes, in very big and very small sizes. I really love working in small sizes, and there are many variables that influence the time that takes to complete a piece.
That's amazing. I can only imagine like going from few days to few hours to a month. Like
Yes,
that's pretty cool. Well, thank you again, Bello, for coming today and sharing
thank
your
you.
art with us. And once again, congrats. And I guess for anyone listening, where can people follow you to kind of keep on track with what you're doing?
I'm mainly on Twitter. The name is Belo Bizarro, uh, just like it's written here on my name tag, and also in Instagram. On Instagram, I post mainly in Portuguese, but I also try to engage the with other cultures and other languages. But on Twitter is where I mainly focus on this on my artwork and also the NFT uh, thing world and marketing, etc. So I would recommend people to try and search me on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm
Okay.
always there.
So I misspelled the first one, so my apologies. So anyone listening,
No.
look at the second one. I added an extra Z by accident. So there it is.
Okay.
That's the @ So make sure to give Bello a follow and stay up to date with everything that they are posting. And I know I'm super excited to follow along on your journey. And it was great
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
meeting you too.
Perfect. Well, good luck and hopefully we'll talk
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.